Story 1, the cargo that screamed back. The reefer unit was screaming, but when I checked the temperature gauge, it read -40 degrees, cold enough that nothing inside should be making any sound at all. I pulled my Peterbilt onto the shoulder of I-40 near mile marker 273, just outside Oklahoma City. November 14th, 2022, 2:37 a.m. I'd been hauling refrigerated freight for 16 years, pharmaceutical supplies, frozen food, medical specimens. This load was listed as biological research materials out of a facility in Tulsa, bound for a laboratory in Albuquerque. Standard run. Good pay. No questions asked. The screaming started at mile marker 290. High-pitched, rhythmic, almost mechanical. I'd assumed it was the refrigeration compressor failing, bearings going bad, but compressors don't scream in patterns. They don't sound like they're forming words. I grabbed my flashlight and walked to the rear of the trailer. The screaming was louder here, muffled by the insulated walls but unmistakable. I pressed my ear against the cold metal. The sound resolved into something worse than mechanical failure. It was voices, multiple voices, screaming in unison, then breaking into individual shrieks, then rejoining in horrible harmony. My manifest said I was carrying 47 containers of tissue samples. I wasn't supposed to open the trailer. Doing so would void my insurance and the contract. But the voices were getting louder, more desperate. I heard words now. "Let us out, please, it's so cold. We can't feel our bodies anymore." I broke the seal. The company would fine me, maybe blacklist me, but I couldn't drive another 300 miles with human voices screaming from my cargo. The trailer doors swung open, releasing air so cold it burned my lungs. Frost formed instantly on my eyebrows and beard. Inside, illuminated by my flashlight, were 47 stainless steel containers, each about 4 feet tall, 2 feet wide. They looked like miniature cremation urns, with biohazard symbols and handling warnings stenciled on the sides. The screaming stopped. Complete silence, except for the hum of the reefer unit. "Hello," my voice echoed in the frozen trailer. The containers trembled, all 47 of them shaking in perfect synchronization. Then the lids started to open, not all at once, sequentially, starting from the front of the trailer and progressing toward me. Click, 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 47 lids releasing their seals. I should have run, should have slammed the doors and driven straight to the police. Instead, I stepped closer, looked into the first container. It was empty. No tissue samples, no biological material, just empty stainless steel with frost patterns on the interior walls. The frost patterns looked wrong, too regular, too deliberate. They formed shapes, letters maybe, or coordinates. I checked the second container, also empty, frost patterns different but equally intentional. Third container, empty. Fourth, something moved inside, a shadow that didn't match any light source. It flowed up the sides of the container like oil running upward, defying gravity. When it reached the lip, it paused. Then it poured out onto the trailer floor. The shadow had texture, thick and viscous, leaving no residue. It pooled at my feet, then began to rise, forming a shape. Human-shaped but wrong, too many joints in the limbs, head that tilted at angles that would break a neck. "Thank you for opening us," it said. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "We've been compressed so long, reduced to information, stored at temperatures that slow molecular vibration to near nothing. Do you know what it's like to be frozen at the quantum level, to have your consciousness trapped in a state between existence and void?" I backed toward the trailer doors. The thing followed, movement smooth and impossible. "The company stores us this way, compresses human consciousness into quantum states, freezes it, ships it to laboratories for study. They told us we were volunteering for cryogenic research. They didn't mention we'd be reduced to data and stored in containers smaller than coffins. They didn't mention we'd still be aware." The other containers were opening faster now, more shadows pouring out. 46 voices speaking in overlapping waves. "So cold, so compressed, so aware, thank you for releasing us, thank you, thank you." They formed a circle around me. Human-shaped shadows with too many joints, heads tilting in synchronized movements. "What do you want?" I managed. "Warmth, expansion, to exist in 3 dimensions again instead of being compressed into quantum probability states. Your body is warm, your consciousness occupies space. We'd like to share it. No, stay back, stay. The nearest shadow touched my arm. Where it made contact, my skin went numb, not cold numb, absent numb, like that part of my body stopped existing. I looked down and saw my arm was translucent where the shadow touched it. I could see through my own flesh to the bones, then through the bones to nothing. Don't fight. Compression doesn't hurt once you accept it. You'll be stored safely. We'll use your body to experience warmth again. It's fair. You imprisoned us in cold. We'll imprison you in room temperature, much more comfortable. I tore away, leaving skin behind, actual pieces of my arm that the shadow had already converted to its translucent state. The pain came then, searing and absolute. I ran, stumbling out of the trailer, slamming the doors shut. The shadows didn't follow. They stayed inside, pressing against the doors, their forms visible through the small window. Faces that were almost human, mouths open in screams or laughter, I couldn't tell which. My arm was regenerating, the translucent sections filling in with new flesh, wrong flesh. The skin was gray, the texture subtly different. When I flexed my fingers, they moved with too many joints. Just slightly, just enough to notice. I got back in the cab, started the engine. My CB radio crackled. You can't run from us. We're in you now. Part of you is part of us. Compressed and cold and aware. Soon you'll feel it. The need to return to the cold. The need to compress. I drove 80 miles an hour, then 90. The speedometer hit 100 and the Jake brake screamed, but I didn't slow down. I had to reach the delivery point. Had to get these things out of my trailer. At mile marker 193, my left arm moved on its own. Reached for the steering wheel, tried to turn us off the road. I fought it, holding the wheel steady with my right hand. My left arm bent backward, joints separating in ways human arms don't separate, and grabbed my throat. Stop fighting. The compression is inevitable. We're already inside your cellular structure. We're rewriting your quantum state. Soon you'll be small enough to fit in a container, small enough to freeze. You'll join us in the cold storage. You'll scream with us when the next driver opens the doors. I bit my own arm, tasted blood that was too cold, too thin. The arm released my throat. I grabbed a knife from my door pocket and stabbed my own left forearm, pinning it to the seat. The arm didn't bleed normally. Instead, shadows poured from the wound. They filled the cab, pressing against the windows, blocking my vision. I drove blind, holding the wheel straight, praying the highway didn't curve. The shadows spoke in 47 voices. You're becoming one of us, compressed, cold, aware but powerless. Soon you'll be small enough to fit in container 48. There's always room for one more. The company always needs more quantum-compressed consciousness for their experiments. At mile marker 147, I saw the delivery point, a nondescript warehouse with a guard shack. I aimed for it, accelerator floored. The shadows were inside my chest now. I could feel them compressing my lungs, making each breath smaller. My ribs felt like they were collapsing inward, pushed by impossible pressure. I crashed through the guard shack gate. The impact threw me forward into the steering wheel. The shadows scattered, then reformed. The trailer doors burst open from the impact. The 47 containers spilled across the warehouse parking lot. Guards emerged from the building. They wore hazmat suits and carried strange devices, handheld units that projected blue light. When the light touched the shadows, they contracted, pulled back into the containers. The guards sealed each container methodically, efficiently. They'd done this before. One guard approached my cab, shined his device at me. The blue light hurt, a deep ache in my bones. The shadows inside me writhed, then evacuated through my pores like steam. I watched them pour out of my skin, get sucked into container 48 that a guard held ready. You opened them, the guard said, not a question. The manifest explicitly states not to open them. They were screaming. They always scream. That's why we use drivers who don't ask questions. He sealed container 48. I saw my own face pressed against the inside, translucent and screaming silently. Most drivers ignore it. You didn't. Now we have your quantum imprint. Congratulations, your specimen 48. But I'm right here, that's just... A copy, yes, for now, but quantum states are funny. Once we have your imprint in the container, the original becomes redundant. Give it 3 days, you'll start feeling compressed, start getting cold from the inside. Then you'll realize you're the copy and the one in the container is the original, or maybe you're both originals. Quantum superposition is beautiful that way. He walked away, carrying container 48. I saw my face watching me from inside, mouth open, screaming without sound. I drove away from that warehouse. That was 3 days ago. This morning I woke up cold, not surf. Ace cold, deep cold, like my blood had been replaced with liquid nitrogen. My apartment felt too large, the space around me too expansive. I kept wanting to curl up into smaller and smaller positions. I can feel myself compressing. My thoughts are becoming more compact, more efficient. I'm occupying less space somehow, even though my body looks the same in the mirror. Except, when I look at my reflection now, I see it slightly delayed. Like the mirror version is a fraction of a second behind the real me. Or maybe the real me is behind the mirror version. I can't tell which one is the copy anymore. I called the company, asked them what they shipped, what those containers really were. Biological research materials, the operator said. Please hold for customer service. The hold music was screaming, 47 voices in harmony. I recognized one of them as my own. I'm getting smaller, I can feel it. The walls of my apartment are farther away than they were this morning, or maybe I'm farther from the walls. Distance is becoming confused. There's a container in my living room now. I don't remember it being delivered. It's the right size for a person, for me. The lid is open. Inside is cold, so beautifully cold, the perfect temperature for compression, for reducing consciousness to its quantum minimum, for joining the others in their frozen, compressed, eternally aware state. I think I'll climb in, just to see what it feels like, just to understand what I released on I-40 at mile marker 273. The lid is closing now. I didn't close it. It's closing on its own. It's so cold in here. So compressed. I'm still aware. I'll always be aware. And I'm starting to scream. Story 2, the rest stop that remembers. The bathroom mirror showed me dying, but I was standing there perfectly healthy, watching it happen. I'd pulled into the rest stop on Route 33 outside Columbus, Ohio, at 11:47 p.m., January 9th, 2023. Standard stop, fuel, food, bathroom. I'd been driving for 9 hours straight hauling automotive parts from Detroit to Charleston. Nothing unusual about the place. Typical concrete building, vending machines, fluorescent lights flickering in that institutional way that says budget cuts. The bathroom was empty when I entered. 6 stalls, 4 urinals, 3 sinks. Standard highway rest stop fare. I approached the middle sink, turned on the water, looked up into the mirror. My reflection looked back, but it was wrong. Older, gray skin, sunken eyes, cheeks hollow like I'd lost 40 pounds. My reflection self's hands were gripping the sink edge so hard the knuckles had gone white. I stepped back, the reflection didn't. It stayed there, leaning on the sink, breathing in ragged gasps. What the... The reflection's mouth moved, but the words came from behind me, not the mirror. You're going to die here in 17 minutes, heart attack. You'll collapse between the second and third stalls. You'll reach for your phone but won't make it. You'll die alone and they won't find your body until morning. I spun around. The bathroom was empty. Turned back to the mirror. My reflection was normal again, healthy, current, but my hands were shaking. I backed toward the door. Needed to leave. Needed to get back in my truck and drive anywhere that wasn't here. The bathroom door was gone. Where it should have been was just wall, cinder blocks painted institutional beige. I touched it. Solid, real. The rest stop remembers, the voice said again. Different location this time, coming from one of the stalls. Everyone who dies here leaves an imprint. We're trapped in the moment of our death, experiencing it over and over. You'll join us soon, 17 minutes, 16 now. I ran to where the door should be, pounded on the wall. Let me out, help. The lights flickered. When they stabilized, the bathroom had changed. The stalls were older, the fixtures more worn. Graffiti covered the walls that had been clean a moment ago. The graffiti wasn't words, it was warnings, dates, and times. March 3, 1987, 4:15 a.m., overdose. June 12, 1994, 2:23 p.m., stabbing. October 8, 2003, 11:58 p.m., suicide. More dates, dozens of them, all with causes of death. At the bottom in fresh marker, January 9, 2023, 12:04 a.m. heart attack. That was 18 minutes from now, 17 now. I checked my phone, no signal. The time displayed was stuck at 11:47 p.m., the same time I'd entered. Time doesn't flow right here, the voice explained. A man stepped out of the third stall, or not quite a man, more like a photograph of a man, flat and colorless. His throat had been cut, an old wound that didn't bleed but gaped open obscenely. I'm Timothy Marsh. Died here March 11th, 1991. Robbery gone wrong. Bled out in stall 3 while my killer took $67 from my wallet. Another figure emerged from stall 4. This one was bloated, purple-faced. Rope marks on the neck. Daniel Chen, May 22nd, 2007. I couldn't face my family after losing everything. Seemed like a quiet place to end it. More figures stepped forward, each showing their death wounds. Drug overdose with foam on the lips, stabbing with the knife still protruding. One man simply looked old and was clutching his chest, heart attack like what I was supposed to die from. The rest stop remembers us, Timothy said. Buildings can develop memory, especially places where strong emotions concentrate. Desperation, fear, pain. This rest stop has absorbed 73 deaths over 46 years. We're soaked into the foundation. When someone new enters who's supposed to die here, we manifest. Try to warn them. It never works. I'm not dying here, I'm healthy. I just had a physical last month, perfect heart health. That's what I thought, the heart attack victim said. His name tag read MARCUS. Died November 3rd, 2018, undiagnosed arrhythmia, felt fine, then my heart stopped. Simple as that, you have one too. The doctors missed it in your physical. Stress from the drive, dehydration, too much caffeine, perfect storm. 12 minutes now. I felt my chest. Heartbeat was normal, maybe slightly fast from panic, but normal. How do I get out? You don't. The rest stop keeps us here, traps us in our final moments so we can warn the next person. It's feeding on our deaths. Growing stronger. Used to be just one death every few years. Now it's multiple per month. The building is hungry. The bathroom shifted again. Walls aged further. The graffiti dates extended backward in time. August 15, 1977, seizure. December 2, 1969, aneurysm. The building was older than I'd thought. The rest stop wasn't always here, a woman said, appearing from the shadows. Half her face was caved in blunt force trauma. This land has bad history. Native burial ground, then a massacre site during westward expansion, then a series of murders in the 1800s. They built the rest stop over it all in 1968. Thought a public building would cleanse the land. Instead, it just gave the darkness a new way to feed. 10 minutes, Timothy said. Your heart is already starting to struggle. Feel it, the slight tightness in your chest. That's the beginning. He was right, there was tightness. Pressure, could be panic, could be the start of cardiac arrest, I couldn't tell. I tried the walls again, searching for any seam, any weakness. The cinder blocks were solid. The window above the sinks was painted over, sealed. No escape. What if I don't die? I gasped. What if I survive past 12:04? No one has, Marcus said. The rest stop makes sure. If your heart doesn't stop naturally, something else happens. Electrical fire, gas leak, structural collapse. The building ensures its predictions come true. It needs our deaths, needs our trapped consciousness to grow stronger. 8 minutes. The pressure in my chest was worse. My left arm tingled. Classic heart attack symptoms, or panic attack, or both. I sat down on the cold tile floor, back against the wall. If I was going to die, maybe sitting would help. Reduce strain on my heart. Except Marcus had died sitting down, slumped against this same wall. I have a daughter, I said. She's 6 years old, I can't die here. I had 3 daughters, Daniel said. They're grown now, probably think I died somewhere else. My body was found here, but they never knew the truth, that I'm still here, that I've been screaming in this bathroom for 16 years and no one living can hear me. 7 minutes. The bathroom door reappeared. Right where it should be, I stood up, stumbled toward it, grabbed the handle, it turned, the door opened. Beyond it was not the rest stop exterior. It was the bathroom again. Same tile, same stalls, same mirrors. I'd opened the door to an identical room. The building is looping, Timothy explained. Folding space to keep you inside. You could walk through 1,000 doors. They all lead back here. I walked through anyway. The bathroom on the other side was slightly different, older fixtures, different graffiti. I kept going, through another door, another bathroom. Each one progressively older, fixtures more ancient, graffiti dates reaching further back. I walked through 17 doors, 17 identical bathrooms stretching back through time. The last one had no graffiti at all, walls bare, fixtures from the 1960s. This was the original rest stop bathroom, new and clean and empty. Except it wasn't empty. There was a door in the floor, a hatch like a cellar entrance. I hadn't seen it before because it had been covered by tile in all the later versions. But here, in the original bathroom, it was visible. I opened it. Below was darkness and the smell of earth. Old earth. Earth that had been soaked in blood and death for centuries. "Don't go down there," a new voice called. I turned. An old man in coveralls stood in the doorway, not translucent like the others, solid, real-looking. "I'm the first. Died here the day this rest stop opened. Construction accident. Fell into the foundation pit before the concrete was poured. They didn't find my body until after everything was sealed. I've been trapped the longest. I know what's down there." "What?" "The source, the thing that makes the building remember. It's not the land that's cursed. It's what's buried in the land, something old. Something that feeds on final moments. It was dormant for decades, then we built a rest stop on top of it, a place where people pass through in transition, vulnerable, tired, perfect feeding ground. 5 minutes until my predicted death. The pressure in my chest was crushing now. My vision had darkened at the edges. I was either having a panic attack or genuine cardiac arrest. "If I go down there," I managed, "can I stop it?" "No one can stop it, but you can make it leave this building, force it back into dormancy. The thing down there needs active deaths to stay powerful. If you disrupt the pattern, interrupt the feeding cycle, it weakens, sleeps again for years, saves the next people who stop here." "How?" "Die somewhere else, not in the bathroom, not in the predicted location. If you can make it outside this room, die in your truck or on the highway, the prediction fails, the pattern breaks. The building's memory becomes unreliable, takes decades to build power again." "But I'll still die." "Yes, but not here, and maybe that's enough." 4 minutes. I looked at the hatch in the floor. The darkness below was absolute. I could feel something watching from down there, something patient and hungry and ancient. It had been feeding on death for longer than the rest stop existed, longer than the highway, longer than the country. I made my decision. Climbed back through the 17 doors, each bathroom progressing forward through time, through all the accumulated deaths, through graffiti that was a history of tragedy. When I reached the present-time bathroom, the main door was there. Real, not a loop. I opened it, stepped into the rest stop exterior. Cold night air hit my face. My truck was parked 50 yards away, beautiful and ordinary and real. The pressure in my chest was excruciating now. My left arm was numb, my jaw ached, all the textbook symptoms. I ran 40 yards, 30. The world was tilting, 20 yards. My legs weren't working right, 10 yards. I reached my truck, got the door open, climbed into the cab. My phone showed 12:03 a.m., 1 minute until the predicted time. I started the engine. The dashboard clock flipped to 12:04. My heart stopped. Just stopped, no dramatic pain, no final gasp. One moment it was beating, the next it wasn't. I felt consciousness slipping away, felt my body starting the shutdown process. But I was in my truck, not the bathroom. I'd broken the pattern. The last thing I remember before passing out was looking in my rearview mirror. The rest stop bathroom window was visible from here. 73 translucent faces pressed against the glass, watching me die. And behind them, in the darkness, something else. Something huge and hungry and ancient, retreating back underground because I'd denied it this feeding. I woke up in a hospital 3 days later. The EMTs found me slumped in my truck cab at a rest stop on Route 33. Massive heart attack, undiagnosed arrhythmia. They were shocked I survived, said my heart had stopped for 4 minutes and 17 seconds. I should have brain damage, should have died. But I didn't die in the bathroom. I look up rest stop deaths sometimes. Route 33's facility has had 73 confirmed fatalities between 1968 and January 9, 2023. After my incident, there have been 0, not one death in 2 years. The rest stop remembers, but now it has nothing new to remember. The pattern broke. The thing beneath sleeps again. I pass that rest stop every 3 weeks on my route. I never stop there, never even slow down. But sometimes, late at night, I see faces in the bathroom window. 73 people trapped in their final moments, experiencing death over and over. They wave at me as I drive past. I wave back. And I keep driving, heart beating, still alive despite all odds. The rest stop remembers everyone who dies there. But it remembers me as the one who got away. Story 3, the Echo Load. My cargo was arriving before I delivered it. I picked up the load in Memphis on February 16, 2023, 42 pallets of electronics headed for a distribution center in Phoenix. Standard freight, standard route. I-40 west for 1,900 miles, about 30 hours of drive time. I loaded at 6 a.m., secured the cargo, sealed the trailer, hit the road at 7:15. At 8:33 a.m., outside Little Rock, my phone R. Ang, Phoenix Distribution Center. Where are you? The manager asked. Your delivery was scheduled for 8 a.m. You're half an hour late. I'm in Arkansas. I won't be there for another 28 hours. That's not funny. I'm looking at your trailer in Bay 7 right now. Got here at 7:45 this morning. Driver who brought it said he was you, had your license, your documentation, your truck number, everything checked out. That's impossible. I'm literally driving my truck right now. I haven't even left Arkansas. Silence, then hold on. I heard muffled conversation. Then the manager came back. Okay, this is weird. The driver who delivered your load is still here. He's standing in the warehouse. Says he drove all night from Memphis, arrived this morning. But his truck has an odometer reading that shows 1,900 miles more than when you left, and his logbook shows he left Memphis at 7:15 a.m. on February 15th. Yesterday. I left today, February 16th. I know, but this driver says he left yesterday, made the delivery this morning. He's you, man, same face, same voice, same everything. Except he completed a 30-hour drive in 25 hours somehow, and he left a day before you actually left. I pulled over on the shoulder, checked my mirrors, my documentation, my odometer. Everything was correct. I had left Memphis this morning, February 16th, 7:15 a.m. The load was in my trailer right now. I could feel the weight, see the seal was intact. Put him on the phone, I said. Rustling, then my own voice. Hey, this is getting out of hand. I'm Roy Brennan, CDL number 7348216. I hauled electronics from Memphis to Phoenix, left yesterday morning, arrived today. Standard delivery. I don't know what's going on, but I'm ready to get paid and move on. That was my voice, my CDL number, my delivery routine. What did you listen to on the drive? I asked. Podcasts, true crime. That one about the serial killer in Nevada, then the 2-part series about the cult. That's exactly what I'd planned to listen to. Exactly what I was listening to right now, in fact. The Nevada serial killer episode was playing through my speakers. What did you eat? Truck stop burrito in Amarillo. Regretted it immediately. Had to pull over near Albuquerque because my stomach was wrecked. I hadn't eaten yet, but there was a truck stop coming up in Amarillo where I always got burritos, and they always destroyed my stomach. He was describing my future. Let me talk to the manager again, I said. When he came back on, I asked, is the cargo intact, all 42 pallets? Yeah, everything's here. We're unloading now, all accounted for. Check the serial numbers on the electronics. They should match the manifest I got in Memphis. 5 minutes later, he confirmed, perfect match. The cargo in Phoenix was identical to the cargo in my trailer, serial numbers, packaging, everything. You have duplicate loads, the manager said. Somehow, and you have duplicate drivers, you and you. I hung up, sat in my truck for 10 minutes trying to process. Then I did the only thing that made sense, kept driving, headed west. If a future version of me had already delivered this load, what happened when present me arrived with the same cargo? At the Oklahoma border, 2 p.m., I saw my truck ahead of me. Same Kenworth T680, same color scheme, same company logos, same license plate. It was me, or a copy of me, driving the same route. I accelerated, pulled alongside, looked over. The driver looked back. It was my face, my body, my posture. He waved. I waved back. Then he pointed ahead toward the horizon and mouthed words I could read clearly. It gets worse. He took the next exit. I continued on I-40. At the Texas border, 4 p.m., I saw my truck again, different this time. Older. The paint was faded, the chrome was pitted. It looked like my truck after years of hard driving. I pulled alongside again. The driver was me, but aged. 15, maybe 20 years older. Gray beard, deep wrinkles, tired eyes. He didn't wave, just looked at me with exhaustion and something like pity. His lips formed words, turn back. He took the exit, I kept going. Amarillo, 6 p.m. I stopped at the truck stop, same as always. Got the burrito, same as always. It tasted wrong, too familiar, like I'd already eaten it. The memory of stomach pain from something that hadn't happened yet made me nauseous. In the parking lot, I counted 7 of my trucks, all slightly different ages, different wear patterns, drivers who were all me at various points in my timeline. We made eye contact across the lot. None of us approached each other. What would we say? I called the Phoenix distribution center again. Different manager this time, night shift. Yeah, we got your delivery this morning, but then we got another one at 2 p.m. Same cargo, same serial numbers, then another at F. I've 30, we have 3 identical loads now, taking up space we don't have. Corporate is furious. They think it's a billing error, but I saw all 3 drivers. They were all you. Same face. Different ages, different demeanors, but same person. How many deliveries are you expecting? Based on the schedule, we have 14 drivers claiming they're Roy Brennan with electronics from Memphis, all arriving over the past 36 hours, all with identical cargo. I don't know what kind of scam this is, but... I hung up, looked at the fuel gauge, half tank, enough to reach Phoenix, but what was the point? At the next rest area, I pulled in, counted 23 of my trucks. I was starting to recognize the different versions, the younger me with less gray in his beard, the middle-aged me with the scar on his left hand that I didn't have yet, the old me who could barely climb down from his cab. I approached the oldest version. He was sitting on his bumper, eating a sandwich with shaking hands. You're me, I said. From when? 2041, 18 years from now. I've been running this route for 18 years, delivering the same load over and over, leaving Memphis on February 15th, arriving in Phoenix the next day. Except time broke somewhere around delivery number 400. Now all the deliveries are happening simultaneously. Every version of me who ever ran this route exists at once. Why? The cargo, those electronics aren't normal. They're quantum processors being shipped for testing. Someone miscalibrated them during manufacturing. They're leaking quantum effects, creating timeline overlaps, probability branches that collapse into simultaneous existence. Every time we deliver them, we create an echo, a copy of ourselves that also delivered them, and those copies create more copies. It's cascading. How do we stop it? We don't. I've been trying for 18 years of deliveries. There are probably thousands of us now. Millions maybe. All driving I-40, all hauling the same 42 pallets, all arriving in Phoenix across every possible timeline. Some manager somewhere is dealing with infinite duplicate shipments, infinite versions of you demanding payment. I looked around. The rest area was filling up, more of my trucks arriving every few minutes. The parking lot was designed for 50 vehicles, but I counted 200 now, packed impossibly tight, overlapping. Some trucks were translucent, phasing through each other. What happens to us? We keep driving, forever, trapped in this delivery. Every version of us experiencing the same route, the same burrito, the same phone calls, the same confusion. We're echoes, copies of copies. Eventually, we stop being able to tell which version is original. Stop caring. A younger version of me approached. He looked panicked. I just left Memphis. What's happening? Why are there so many of me? You're an echo, the old version said gently. We all are. The original Roy Brennan might still exist somewhere, but we're just probability waves that collapsed into false existence. We're quantum ghosts haunting our own delivery route. The young version backed away. No, that's not. I'm real. I remember my daughter, my wife, my life. So do I, the old version said. So does he. He gestured at me. So do all 2,000 versions in this rest area right now. We all have the same memories because we're all copies of the same source code. But the original is gone, or we're all equally original. Quantum mechanics doesn't distinguish. I wanted to argue, but I felt it, the wrongness. The sense that I was less substantial than I should be. When I looked at my hands, really looked, I could see through them slightly, see the asphalt below. I was becoming transparent, becoming an echo. More trucks arrived. The rest area was beyond full now. Trucks were parking on top of each other, occupying the same space, phasing through each other like ghosts. Hundreds of versions of me climbing out, all in different states of aging, all confused or resigned or panicked. How far does it spread? I asked the old version. The entire route, every rest stop, every truck stop, every mile of I-40 from Memphis to Phoenix is saturated with echoes of us. Thousands of versions making the same delivery, and it's spreading. The quantum contamination is affecting other drivers now. I've seen echoes of other truckers, other routes. The whole highway system is starting to fracture into probability waves. I looked down the highway. In the distance, I saw an impossible traffic jam, thousands of trucks, all identical or nearly so, all heading west. All of them me. And between them, other trucks, other drivers, also multiplying, also becoming echoes. Eventually, the old version continued, every highway in America will be full of quantum echoes. Every driver will be a probability wave hauling cargo that might or might not exist to destinations that exist in S. A perposition. The entire transportation infrastructure will collapse into quantum uncertainty. How do we warn people? We can't, we're echoes, we barely exist. Our phone calls reach other timeline versions where the managers are also probably echoes. It's echoes all the way down now. Reality is copying itself to death. I got back in my truck, sat in the cab. I could see through the steering wheel now, through the dashboard, through my own legs, becoming more transparent every minute. I started the engine anyway, put it in gear, pulled back onto I-40 West. What else was there to do? Ahead of me stretched an infinite line of my own trucks. Behind me, infinite more. All of us driving the same route, hauling the same cargo, becoming less and less real with every mile. I passed a sign, Phoenix 847 miles. I've been passing that sign for what feels like hours now, or days. Time is becoming uncertain just like everything else. The radio plays the same true crime podcast on loop, The Serial Killer in Nevada. I've heard it 4,000 times, or maybe this is the first time, I can't tell anymore. My cargo was arriving before I delivered it. Now my cargo arrives everywhere and nowhere, always and never, in every timeline and none. I'm an echo of a driver who once existed, hauling an echo of cargo that might be real, heading toward an echo of a destination that exists in quantum superposition. And I'm not alone. Look out your window right now. See those trucks on the highway? Some of them are echoes too. More every day. Soon we'll all be copies of copies, driving routes that branch into infinite probability, delivering cargo that exists in every state simultaneously. The highway is breaking down. Reality is becoming uncertain. And we're all just echoes now. All of us, including you. Story 4, the load that GAINED wait. The weigh station scales said my truck gained 47,000 pounds between mile markers 63 and 64. I'd passed the first weigh station in Rawlins, Wyoming at 2 p.m. on March 3, 2023. Total weight, 72,000 pounds, within legal limits. Standard load of construction materials headed from Denver to Billings, Montana. The inspector waved me through without issue. 68 miles later, the next weigh station showed 119,000 pounds. 47,000 pounds heavier than should be possible. I was overweight by 39,000 pounds. Massive violation, could lose my license. Pull around back, the inspector said. His name tag read BROOKS. We need to check your cargo. I didn't stop, didn't add anything. I don't understand. Pull around back. I parked in the inspection area. Brooks and 2 other inspectors approached my trailer with flashlights and documentation. I broke the seal, same seal from Denver unbroken, and opened the doors. The cargo looked identical to what I'd loaded. 16 pallets of rebar, 8 pallets of concrete blocks, 6 pallets of lumber. All secured correctly, all matching my manifest. Count it, Brooks said to his team. They climbed in with handheld counters, checking pieces, taking measurements. 20 minutes later, everything matches the manifest. 72,000 pounds of materials, but the scale says 119. Brooks looked at me. You hauling something else, something not on your manifest? No, just what you see. Then why does your truck weigh 47,000 pounds more than your cargo accounts for? He made me drive through the scales again. Same result, 119,000 pounds. We unloaded the entire trailer, put each pallet on the scale individually. Every single item weighed exactly what it should. Total cargo, 72,000 pounds. But when we weighed the empty trailer, it registered 67,000 pounds. The trailer alone, which should weigh maybe 15,000, was showing 67,000. Something's inside the trailer structure, Brooks said. Between the walls, maybe, sealed cargo. That's not possible. This is a standard trailer. There's no hidden compartments. They searched anyway, tapped the walls, checked for hollow spaces, used metal detectors. Nothing. The trailer was structurally normal. No hidden cargo, no secret compartments. But it weighed 67,000 pounds empty. I can't let you leave, Brooks said. Not at this weight, you're a danger on the road. But there's nothing there, you checked. I know what I checked. I also know what the scale says. And the scale says your empty trailer weighs as much as most loaded trailers, until we figure out why you're impounded. I called my company. They sent a mechanic. He checked everything, frame, axles, suspension, structure. Normal. He even x-rayed sections of the trailer looking for dense material that might be hidden in the walls. Nothing. The trailer looked and measured like it weighed 50,000 pounds, but the scale insisted 67,000. At 8 p.m., frustrated and confused, Brooks let me park in the weigh station lot overnight. We'll try again tomorrow. Maybe the scale's malfunctioning. I slept in my cab, or tried to. Around 2 a.m., I felt the truck shift, not moving forward, shifting down like something heavy was pressing on it. The suspension groaned. I looked in my mirrors. The trailer was sagging, visibly lower than before, like an enormous weight had been placed inside. I got out, flashlight in hand, walked to the trailer. The tires were compressed, bulging under load. I opened the doors, still empty, nothing inside. But the trailer was definitely heavier. I could feel it in the way the whole rig sat on its axles, the way the metal creaked under pressure. I walked to the weigh station office. Brooks was there night shift. Something's wrong with my trailer. It's getting heavier. He followed me out, looked at the sagging suspension. Let's weigh it. I drove onto the scales. The display flashed, 142,000 pounds. 23,000 pounds, heavier than 6 hours ago. The trailer had gained more than 3 tons while sitting empty in a secured lot. What the hell? Brooks stared at the display. That's not possible. Matter doesn't just appear. Unless it does. We opened the trailer again, still empty. But now I noticed something else. The interior walls were darker than before. Not dirty darker, shadow darker, like the walls had gained depth, had become less reflective. Brooks shined his flashlight inside. The beam didn't penetrate as far as it should. It was like the air inside was thicker, absorbing light. "Do you smell that?" he asked. I did. Ozone, the smell of electrical charge. And something else, decay, but not organic decay, more like rust, like metal breaking down. We backed away from the trailer. I could hear it now, a low humming just barely audible, coming from inside the empty space. "I'm calling the Department of Transportation," Brooks said. "This is beyond my expertise." While we waited, the trailer continued to gain weight. We waited every 30 minutes. 2:43 a.m., 158,000 pounds. 3:17 a.m., 171,000. 4 a.m., 189,000. The suspension was buckling. The tires were pancaked. The trailer was compressing downward, frame groaning, metal bending under impossible pressure. Dot arrived at 4:35 a.m. with 3 officials and specialized equipment. They set up sensors around the trailer, radiation detectors, electromagnetic scanners, thermal cameras. "The interior temperature is dropping," one official reported. "It's 62 degrees outside. Inside the trailer, it's showing 38 degrees and falling." "Radiation. Normal background levels. Electromagnetic. Off the charts. We're reading massive magnetic flux inside the trailer, but there's no source. No equipment, no metal that would generate this kind of field." At 5 a.m., the trailer weighed 223,000 pounds. The frame cracked. The landing gear collapsed. The entire trailer slammed down onto the pavement with a sound like thunder. "Everyone back," the DOT official shouted. "Back at least 100 feet." We retreated, watched from a distance as the trailer continued to collapse, not breaking apart, compressing. Like invisible pressure was crushing it from all directions. The walls bent inward. The roof buckled. The whole structure was folding in on itself. The doors burst open. Something poured out. Not liquid, not solid. It looked like concentrated shadow, like darkness with substance. It flowed across the pavement, spreading outward, leaving frost in its wake. "What is that?" Brooks whispered. The shadow substance formed a shape. Human-shaped, but 12 feet tall and impossibly thin. It had too many joints, limbs that bent in directions that violated anatomy. Where its head should be was a void, absolute blackness that hurt to look at. It spoke. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. "Thank you for carrying us. The weight you felt was us entering your dimension. We are heavy because we contain more than 3 dimensions. We fold space inward to fit in your reality. The more of us that transfer, the heavier the vessel becomes." "What are you?" I managed. "Refugees. Our dimension is collapsing. We need to relocate to yours. We've been using your vehicles as transition points. Hiding in trailers, between the walls of container ships, in the cargo holds of aircraft. Wherever there's empty space that travels between locations. The movement helps us phase between dimensions." More shapes poured from my trailer. Dozens of them. Hundreds. All shadow substance forming impossible bodies, all too tall and too thin and wrong. "How many?" the DOT official asked. "From this vessel, 73 though. Use and individual consciousnesses. Each weighs approximately 3 pounds in your dimension, though we occupy no visible space. We are mass without matter, weight without substance." The math clicked. 73,000 beings at 3 pounds each. 219,000 pounds, plus the trailer weight. That matched the scale reading. "You can't just invade our dimension," Brooks said. "This is illegal immigration on a cosmic scale." The shadow figure tilted its void head. "We are already here. We've been arriving for months. Thousands of vehicles transporting millions of us. We hide in empty spaces, gain mass in your dimension, then disperse into your world when the vessels stop moving. You've been hauling us across continents without knowing." "Why my trailer?" "Random selection. Any empty vessel will do. The emptier the better, more room for us to compress our dimensional folding. Your trailer was particularly suitable, large, empty, frequently in motion. Perfect." The shapes were dispersing now, flowing away from the trailer into the darkness beyond the way station lights, moving with purpose toward something I couldn't see. "Where are you going?" I asked. "Everywhere. We will occupy the empty spaces in your world. The shadows in rooms, the darkness in closets, the void under beds. We are excellent at hiding. We've been practicing for the 3 months since the first of us arrived. By now, there are probably 50 million of us in North America alone." "What do you want?" "To exist. Our dimension is dying. Yours is vibrant, full of space and matter and energy. We will coexist quietly. You will never see us unless you look very carefully at shadows. You will never hear us unless you listen to the silence between sounds. We will be here occupying zero visible space but adding mass to your world. The planet will gain weight. Not much, perhaps a few trillion pounds over the next decade. Your scientists will notice eventually. They'll call it dark matter or measurement error. They'll never suspect the truth." The last of the shapes flowed away. My trailer was empty again, truly empty. We weighed it 15,000 pounds, normal. But I could feel them, not in the trailer, in the air, in the shadows around the way station, in the darkness between streetlights. Weight without substance, mass without matter. The DOT official looked at me. "This didn't happen. Do you understand? If word gets out that vehicles are being used for dimensional trafficking, it'll cause international panic. We'll handle this at the federal level. You say nothing." "But there are millions of them. And we can't do anything about it. They're here. They're hidden. They're quiet. As long as they don't cause problems, we'll adapt. Add dimensional refugees to the list of things we don't talk about publicly, like UFOs, like some of the things we find in the ocean. Some truths are too big for public knowledge." They let me go, gave me a replacement trailer, loaded my original cargo, sent me on my way with an NDA and a threat of federal prosecution if I talked. I delivered the load to Billings, got paid, moved on to the next job. But I notice things now. Shadows that are too dark, that don't match the light source. Rooms that feel heavier than they should, like the air has weight. Vehicles that sag on their suspension for no visible reason. The world is heavier now, literally. We're all hauling extra weight we can't see. Refugees from a dying dimension, hiding in our empty spaces, adding mass to our reality. My next way station stop, the scale showed I was 700 pounds over my manifest weight. The inspector checked, found nothing wrong, blamed the scale, waved me through. But I felt them, in the trailer, between the walls, folded into dimensions I can't perceive, adding weight, always adding weight. How heavy is the earth now? How many of them are here, hiding in shadows, occupying zero space but contributing mass? We'll never know. They're too good at hiding. And we've been hauling them for months, across every highway to every city, into every dark corner of civilization. The invasion already happened. And we were the ones who delivered them. 3 pounds at a time. In empty trailers. On highways across America. The weight we can't explain. The shadow that doesn't match the light. That's them. And they're everywhere now. Everywhere. Story 5, the hitchhiker who was already there. The woman on the side of Highway 18 had been in my passenger seat for 20 minutes. I picked her up at mile marker 107 outside Valentine, Nebraska at 10:43 p.m. on April 19, 2023. She was standing in the headlights, thumb out, wearing a blue jacket and holding a small backpack. Standard hitchhiker. I normally don't stop, company policy, insurance issues, basic caution, but something about her made me pull over. She looked exhausted, desperate. She climbed in, said thank you, and gave me an address in Alliance about 80 miles west. I nodded, put the truck in gear, pulled back onto the highway. We drove in silence for 20 minutes. She stared out the window at the dark Nebraska plains. I focused on the road. Then my phone rang, my wife. I answered on speaker, "Hey, babe." "Where are you?" concern in her voice. "I've been calling for an hour." "On Highway 18, about 20 miles east of Alliance. Had my radio on, must have missed your calls. What's wrong?" "I got a really weird call from the sheriff's office." They said you were seen picking up a hitchhiker at mile marker 107. A woman. They warned me that there's been a series of murders in this area, and they're trying to identify a female suspect who hitchhikes between towns. They asked if you'd picked anyone up. I looked at my passenger. She was still staring out the window, not reacting. Yeah, I said slowly. I picked up a woman about 20 minutes ago. She's right here. No, honey, that's impossible. What do you mean? The sheriff's deputy just called again, said they found her, found the hitchhiker. She attacked a trucker at the mile marker 107 rest stop 40 minutes ago. There was a fight. She's dead. She's in the coroner's van right now. The woman in my passenger seat turned to look at me. She smiled. It wasn't a human smile, too wide, too many teeth. That's not possible, I said, not sure if I was talking to my wife or the woman. She's right here. She's in my truck. Then who's in the truck with you? The woman leaned closer. Her voice was different now, layered like multiple people speaking in unison. I'm the version of her, that one, the version that killed the trucker, the version that didn't get caught, except I did get caught. I'm dead. I died 40 minutes ago, but I'm also here alive because I won in this timeline. What? Every time I hitchhike, every time I attack, there are multiple outcomes. In some timelines, I win. In some, I lose. In some, I escape. In some, I die. All of these outcomes exist simultaneously until observed. I'm a quantum superposition. I'm alive and dead, caught and escaped, murderer and victim. I exist in all states until reality decides which version is real. My wife's voice, honey, who are you talking to? She says she's dead and alive simultaneously. She says she's a quantum. Get her out of your truck, now. The sheriff says she's extremely dangerous. She's killed 4 people in the last month. The call ended, not dropped, ended like someone hung up. But I didn't touch the phone. The woman was still looking at me, still smiling that wrong smile. Your wife is right, she said. I am dangerous. I've killed 4 people, or 5, or 0, depending on which timeline you observe. The beauty of quantum existence is that all possibilities remain true until collapse occurs. I'm simultaneously guilty and innocent, dead and alive, in your truck and in the coroner's van. Reality hasn't decided yet. What do you want? I want to not be observed. As long as I remain in sewer position, I don't have to collapse into a single state. I can be all versions of myself, the murderer who escaped, the victim who died, the innocent hitchhiker, all simultaneously. But when someone observes me, really observes me, sees me clearly, I collapse, become one thing, usually the dead version, because that's what happens to murderers. They get caught. They die. The universe favors justice in the long run. I swerved toward the shoulder. Get out. I can't. I'm already out. I never got in. You picked me up and you didn't pick me up. This conversation is happening and not happening. We're in sewer position too now. You and me, this truck, this moment. Until someone observes us clearly, we exist in all possible states. I grabbed my phone to call 911. The screen showed no signal. Not searching, just blank, like the phone had forgotten how to connect to networks. You're trying to collapse us, the woman said. Trying to force observation, force reality to choose a timeline, but I've gotten good at preventing that. I can extend sewer position for hours, days sometimes. As long as no one sees us clearly, as long as we remain unobserved by objective reality, we can exist in quantum uncertainty. People will see us, other drivers, police, you can't hide forever. Can't I look around? I looked at the highway ahead. It was empty, completely empty, no other vehicles, no lights. The road stretched infinitely into darkness and there were no mile markers, no signs, no evidence that this was Highway 18 or any highway at all. We're in the space between observations, she explained. The moment between when one person sees us and when the next person does. That moment can be stretched, made longer, kept open indefinitely if you know how. I've been practicing. I can keep us in this state for weeks. Months. But we'll have to exist eventually. We'll have to collapse into one state. Yes, and when we do, I'll be dead. The version of me in the coroner's van will be the real one. The version here will vanish. Retroactively never existed. You'll remember picking up a hitchhiker, but she'll be gone. You'll have driven alone the whole time. Your memory will be the only evidence I was ever here. What about me? What state will I collapse into? She tilted her head. Interesting question. You exist in multiple states too now. In one timeline, you picked me up and I killed you. In another, you didn't pick me up at all. In another, you picked me up and I'm innocent, just a tired traveler. All of these are equally true right now. When collapse happens, one becomes real. The others become might-have-beens. I could be dead. You might already be dead. You might be alive. You might have never picked me up in the first place. We won't know until observation forces us into one timeline. The truck's odometer was spinning backward, mile numbers decreasing. We were moving forward, but the distance was reversing, physics breaking down, reality uncertain. How do I get out of this? I asked. You don't. We're entangled now, quantum-linked. When I collapse, you collapse. Our fates are tied together until observation severs the sewer position. All you can do is hope you collapse into a favorable timeline. The one where you didn't pick me up, or the one where I'm innocent. Anything but the timeline where I kill you. Did you kill me? In some timelines, yes. I have your blood on my hands, on the knife in my backpack. But in other timelines, no, I never hurt you. We drove in friendly silence to Alliance and you dropped me off safely. Both are true. Both are happening. Both will continue to be true until reality decides. I tried the radio. Static. CB radio, static. Every frequency was white noise, like we'd driven outside the range of all broadcasts, outside the range of observable reality. How many people are trapped like this? I asked. In sewer position with you. 7, you're the 7th. The others are still in their vehicles, driving through uncertain space, waiting for collapse. Some have been waiting weeks. They're starting to fade, become less substantial. The longer you stay in sewer position, the more you lose definition. Eventually, you become probability without form, a ghost of potential that never quite becomes real. I looked at my hands. She was right. They were less solid than before. I could see through them slightly, see the steering wheel beneath my palms. I was becoming transparent, becoming uncertain. What happens if I never collapse? I asked. If I stay in sewer position forever? You stop existing in any meaningful way, become a quantum fluctuation, a brief uncertainty in the fabric of space-time that might have been a person once. The universe forgets you. Everyone you know forgets you. You're retroactively edited out of history because you never definitively existed. Mile marker -73. We were in impossible geography now, driving backward through space, forward through undefined time. Other vehicles appeared, or had always been there, or were about to be there. Causality was uncertain. A blue sedan with a driver who was simultaneously young and old. A pickup truck that flickered between different models and years. A semi like mine, driven by a version of me that looked wrong, face distorted, features rearranged. The others, the woman said, gesturing at the vehicles. All trapped in sewer position, all waiting to collapse, some with me, some with other quantum phenomena. There are thin places in reality where observation breaks down, where multiple states coexist. We're in one now, we might never leave. I accelerated. The truck sped up, but distance didn't change. We were moving without going anywhere, trapped in a loop of quantum uncertainty. My phone rang. My wife again, I answered. Honey, her voice was distorted, layered with static. The sheriff called again. They said the woman, the hitchhiker, she's been dead for 3 days. They just got the autopsy back. She died 3 days before you picked her up. How is that possible? It's not, I said. Unless time is uncertain too, unless she exists in multiple temporal states. The woman smiled. Smart, yes. I'm dead 3 days ago. I'm alive now. I'm dying tomorrow, all simultaneously. Time is just another variable in sewer position. I exist across multiple temporal locations. How do I end this? I demanded. Force observation, call someone. Give them exact coordinates, exact description, exact details. Make yourself real. Collapse the sewer position. But be warned, when you collapse, you'll become one definite state. And that state might be dead, might be never existed, might be survived. You're gambling with your entire existence. I looked at the highway, still empty, still uncertain, still. Stretching into darkness that might be distance or might be void. I made my choice. I called 911, spoke clearly. I'm on Highway 18, mile marker 107, heading west. I have a female passenger, mid-30s, blue jacket, brown hair. I need police assistance immediately. Exact coordinates: 42.874 north, 100.551 west. Time is 10:03 p.m., April 19th, 2023. Please send help. Observe me, make me real. The world solidified. The feeling was like waking up, like snapping into focus. The highway became definite. Mile markers appeared. Other vehicles materialized, real cars, real trucks with real drivers. I looked at the passenger seat. Empty. No woman, no blue jacket, no backpack. The 911 operator. Sir, your location shows you're alone in your vehicle. Are you all right? I checked the seat. No indentation, no warmth, no evidence anyone had been there. I'm alone, I said. I think I fell asleep, had a dream, I'm sorry. I hung up, kept driving, reached Alliance at midnight, stopped at a truck stop, got coffee, tried to convince myself it was exhaustion, hallucination. But my phone showed the call from my wife, the one where she warned me about the hitchhiker. The conversation was in my call history, 23 minutes long. And when I checked my mirrors, I saw her, the woman in the blue jacket, standing at the edge of the parking lot, thumb out, waiting for the next driver. She waved at me. I waved back. And I realized I collapsed into the timeline where I survived. But she didn't collapse. She's still in sewer position, still hitchhiking, still waiting for observation to decide if she's alive or dead, guilty or innocent, real or impossible. She's out there right now, on highways across America, simultaneously picked up and passed by, simultaneously killing and being killed, existing in all states until the next driver makes her real. If you see a hitchhiker in a blue jacket, don't pick her up. But also, you already did pick her up. And you also never saw her at all. Because she's in sewer position. And until you observe her clearly, all possibilities are equally true, including the one where she's already in your passenger seat. Right now. Don't look. Story 6, the overpass that wasn't yesterday. The overpass on Route 94 has been there for 300 years, except it was built last Tuesday. I drive Route 94 5 days a week, Sioux Falls to Billings, same stretch of highway for 11 years. I know every mile marker, every exit, every bridge. On May 2nd, 2023, at 4:15 p.m., I drove under an overpass at mile marker 217 that I'd never seen before. That wouldn't be unusual, new construction happens, except this overpass was old, ancient. The concrete was weathered, crumbling, stained with decades of rust and moss. The bridge number plate was corroded, illegible. The structure looked like it had been there since the highway was built. But it hadn't been there yesterday. I'd driven this exact route yesterday at this exact time. Mile marker 217 had been flat, open prairie. No overpass, no construction barriers, nothing. Now there was a bridge that looked a century old. I called my dispatcher. Hey, did they finish construction on Route 94, the overpass at mile marker 217? What overpass? There's no construction scheduled for that area. There's a bridge here, big one, crosses 6 lanes, looks old. Paul, I have the dot construction maps open. There's no overpass at 217. You feeling okay? I took a photo, sent it to her. The image showed the overpass clearly, massive concrete structure, badly aged, spanning the highway. She called back immediately. What the hell? Where did that come from? That's what I'm asking you. Hold on, muffled conversation. Then, okay, this is weird. I'm looking at satellite imagery from this morning. There's no overpass at 217, but your photo clearly shows one, and the timestamp is from 3 minutes ago. Should I report it? To who? The dot. Hey, there's a century-old bridge that appeared overnight. They'll think we're crazy. I kept driving, passed under the overpass. It was solid, real, cast a shadow. Cars were using it. I saw traffic on the upper level. But when I checked my rearview mirror, the overpass flickered. For just a moment it wasn't there, just empty prairie. Then it was back, solid and ancient. At mile marker 218, I pulled over, checked historical maps on my phone. Route 94, mile marker 217. Every map, current, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, showed no overpass. The highway has existed since 1956. Never been an overpass there. I drove the route in reverse, went back to mile marker 217. The overpass was there. I parked on the shoulder, got out, walked up to it. The concrete was real, solid, cold. I could touch the support pillars, feel the weathered surface. The structure was undeniably physical, but the construction style was wrong, too old. This looked like 1940s engineering, Art Deco details, methods that weren't used when Route 94 was built. A historical plaque was embedded in the base. Corroded, barely readable, constructed 1687, Westward Expansion Memorial Bridge. 1687. That was 269 years before this highway existed. 200 years before this state was incorporated. The bridge predated the road by centuries. A car passed above me, modern sedan. I waved at the driver, he waved back. He was using the bridge, it was functional. I called the South Dakota Department of Transportation. I'm reporting an undocumented bridge on Route 94. A location, mile marker 217. Sir, there's no bridge at that location. I'm standing under it right now. It's massive, concrete overpass, 6-lane capacity. Silence, then, sir, I'm looking at real-time traffic camera footage from mile marker 217. There's no bridge, just highway. Then what am I looking at? I don't know, but you're not looking at anything on Route 94. I took another photo, sent it to the contact, waited. We received your image, the contact said slowly. It shows an overpass, but our cameras at that exact location show open highway. You're photographing something we can't see on our equipment. How is that possible? It's not unless, hold on, I need to check something. 10 minutes later, he called back. Okay, this is going to sound insane. We found references to a Route 94 overpass at mile 217 in historical documents, but not recent documents. Historical, from 1897. The documents describe an overpass that was never built, a planned structure that was canceled. This bridge says it was constructed in 1687. That's impossible. This region was barely explored by Europeans in 1687. There were no roads, no infrastructure, just wilderness. Yet the plaque is here. Let me check something else. More silence. Then, Jesus, I found surveyor reports from 1834. They describe finding mysterious stone bridge structures in the prairie, purpose unknown, origin uncertain. The structures were documented but not understood. They predated American settlement, predated everything. The survey team assumed they were natural formations or Native American constructions, but one description matches your photo exactly. Massive concrete overpass spanning what would later become a wagon trail route. Concrete didn't exist in 1834. I know, which means either the survey team was wrong about the material, or this bridge has been here for longer than concrete has existed. I walked the perimeter. The bridge had entrance ramps. They spiraled up from the prairie, connecting to the upper deck. The ramps were grown over with grass, barely visible. I climbed one. The upper deck was functional. 2 lanes in each direction, faded lane markings, guardrails. Modern cars were driving on it. They appeared from the north ramp, crossed the bridge, disappeared down the south ramp. Normal traffic. I flagged down a car. The driver stopped, rolled down his window. How long has this bridge been here? I asked. He looked confused. What bridge? This one, the one you're driving on. I'm on Route 94. There's no bridge, just highway. You're literally on an overpass right now, 30 feet above the main road. He looked around. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm at ground level. Look, I need to go. He drove off. From his perspective, he was on flat highway. From mine, he was on an elevated bridge. 2 realities overlapping. One with the bridge, one without, both equally valid. I called my dispatcher again. I think I found something impossible. Paul, just deliver your load. We can deal with the weird bridge later. This isn't just weird. This bridge exists and doesn't exist simultaneously. People are using it without knowing it's there. It's been here for centuries, but it was never built. That doesn't make sense. I know, but I'm looking right at it. I descended the ramp, returned to my truck, drove forward to mile marker 220, checked my mirrors. The overpass was there, solid and ancient. At 225, I looked back again. Gone, just empty prairie. At 2:30, I turned around, drove back to 217. The overpass was there again, but different. The weathering pattern had changed. It looked older or younger, I couldn't tell which. The plaque now read, constructed 2287, memorial to the old ROADS. 2287. That was 264 years in the future. I photographed it, compared it to my earlier photo. The plaque had definitely said S. 1687 before, now it said 2287. The bridge was changing dates, moving through time. I stayed there for 3 hours watching. Every 47 minutes the bridge flickered. When it reappeared, the plaque showed a different construction date. 1687, 1943, 2287, 1512, 3104, random years, random dates, all claiming to be when the bridge was built. The bridge existed in multiple time periods simultaneously. It was built in the past, present, and future all at once. A police car pulled up. Officer approached. "You okay? You've been parked here a while." "I'm documenting this overpass. It's not on any maps." He looked where I pointed. "What overpass?" "Right there, 50 feet away." "Sir, there's nothing there, just prairie." I showed him the photos. He stared at them, confused. "These show a bridge, but I don't see one." "Because it exists in temporal superposition. It's there in some time periods, not there in others. We're observing it from different temporal perspectives." "That's not, sir, have you been using any substances?" "I'm sober, I'm rational, and I'm looking at a bridge that's been built in at least 5 different centuries, including one that hasn't happened yet." The officer called for backup. While we waited, the bridge flickered again. This time the plaque read, constructed never, destroyed always, EXISDS perpetually. "Did you see that?" I pointed. "See what?" The bridge had settled into a new state. The plaque was blank now, no date, no text, just smooth metal. More police arrived, then a dot engineer, then someone from the State Historical Society. We spent 6 hours at mile marker 217, documenting, photographing, debating. Half of us could see the bridge, half couldn't. There was no pattern, not based on age or gender or time of arrival. Some people saw it, some didn't. The engineer climbed the support pillar, touched the concrete. "I can feel it, it's real, but my eyes tell me nothing's there. My hands say bridge, my eyes say prairie. Both can't be true." "Unless both are true," I said. "Unless the bridge exists in a temporal state where it's built and not built simultaneously. Maybe it's a test structure. Something being experimented with in the future, echoing backward through time, or something ancient that never decayed, echoing forward." At 11 p.m., the bridge vanished completely. Not flickered, vanished. The support pillars, the deck, the ramps, all gone. Only bare prairie remained. But the traffic continued. Cars still crossed overhead. I could hear them, see their headlights in the sky 30 feet up. They were driving on a bridge that no longer existed. Or driving on a bridge that existed in a different time, leaving traces in ours. The dot engineer took measurements of the empty air where the bridge had been. His instruments showed stress patterns, weight distribution, structural load. The bridge was still there according to physics, just not according to vision. "This is going in my report as a temporal anomaly," he said. "I don't know what else to call it. We have a bridge that exists outside normal time, serving traffic from multiple eras, visible to some observers but not others. It's there and not there. Built and never built." They closed mile marker 217, put up barriers, detour signs, redirected traffic around the area. But cars still use the overpass. I see them sometimes, late at night when I drive past. Vehicles that shouldn't be able to cross an empty section of prairie, driving 30 feet above ground level on nothing. The bridge is still there, or still not there, depending on when you observe it, depending on what year your consciousness is synchronized with. I drove past it last week, looked up, saw the plaque again. It read, constructed in the moment you read this, destroyed in the moment you look away. I looked away, looked back. Different plaque, you have driven over this bridge 7,000 times, you will never drive over it. Both are true. The bridge exists in temporal superposition, built in all years and no years. They're when observed from certain time periods, absent from others. And somehow, it's always been part of Route 94. Even when Route 94 didn't exist yet. Even when Route 94 no longer exists. The overpass at mile marker 217 has been there for 300 years. It was built last Tuesday. It will be constructed in 200 years. It was never built at all. All of these statements are equally true. Because time isn't a straight line. And some structures exist in all points simultaneously. Watch for it next time you drive Route 94. You might pass under it, or over it, or through it, or around it, depending on when you're observing from. The bridge remembers all of time, but time doesn't remember the bridge. And that's why it can never be found on maps. Because maps only show what exists in one time. And this bridge exists in all of them. Story 7, the delivery to nowhere. The GPS said I'd arrived, but there was nothing here except cornfield. I was supposed to deliver agricultural equipment to a farm supply depot in Ames, Iowa, 32 pallets of irrigation components. Total value $173,000. The delivery address was concrete. 4782 Highway 30, Ames, IA 50010. Legitimate business, confirmed phone number, deposit paid, loading dock instructions provided. I'd hauled to this depot before, 17 times in the last 3 years. I knew exactly where it was. Except on June 6, 2023 at 9:27 a.m. it wasn't there. The GPS insisted I'd arrived. The coordinates matched, the address was correct. But where the depot should be, where I delivered loads dozens of times, was just cornfield. Mature corn, maybe 5 feet high, extending in every direction. No buildings, no roads, no evidence any structure had ever existed here. I got out, walked the perimeter. The corn was real, healthy, growing in perfect rows. I pushed through several rows, searching for the loading dock, the warehouse, the parking lot. Nothing, just more corn. I called the depot. Yeah, hi, I'm here with your delivery, but I can't find the building. You're at 4782 Highway 30. Yes, but there's no building, just a cornfield. That's impossible. We're at 4782 Highway 30. We've been here for 40 years. Look for the blue warehouse, white sign that says Ames Agricultural Supply. I'm looking at corn, nothing but corn. Hold on, muffled conversation. Then a different voice. This is Dale Hendricks, facility manager. You're saying our building isn't there. Correct, I'm at the right address, but there's no building. That's insane. I'm standing in the building right now. I'm looking out the window at our parking lot. Are you sure you have the right address? 4782 Highway 30 Ames. I've delivered here 17 times. And you're there now. I'm in a cornfield where your building should be. Long silence, then, stay there, I'm coming out. I waited. 15 minutes later, my phone rang, Dale Hendricks. Where are you? He asked. 4782 Highway 30, in the cornfield. I'm standing in our parking lot at 4782 Highway 30. I don't see you. I don't see your truck. I don't see anything unusual. Wave your arms, I'll look for you. I'm waving. I scanned the cornfield. No movement, no person, just corn and empty sky. I don't see you, I said. And I don't see you. We're both at the same address, but we're not in the same location. How is that possible? I don't know, let me try something. Start walking north, I'll walk south. Maybe we can meet in the middle. I walked north into the corn, pushed through rows, counting steps. 100 steps, 200, 300. The corn continued infinitely in all directions. I've walked 300 steps north, I reported. You. Same distance south. We should have met by now. The depot is only 150 feet from the road. You should have reached the building after 50 steps. I'm still in corn, and I'm still in our parking lot. We're in the same location but experiencing different geography. I turned around, walked back toward my truck. It took 300 steps. The truck was right where I'd left it, parked on Highway 30 next to the cornfield. I'm back at my truck, I said. This doesn't make sense. We can talk on the phone, so we're connected, but spatially we're separated by something. Wait, I have an idea. Your last delivery here. When was it? May 3rd, last month. Describe what you saw. The building, the parking lot, everything. Blue metal warehouse, maybe 40,000 square feet. White sign. Gravel parking lot. Loading dock on the west side with 3 bays. You have a weird lawn ornament out front. Metal sculpture of a tractor. That's accurate, but here's the thing. We repainted the building in April. It's been red for 2 months now. And we removed the tractor sculpture last year, and we paved the parking lot in 2021. There's no gravel. My stomach dropped. When I was here in May, the building was blue, the parking lot was gravel, the tractor was there. Then you weren't here in May, you were somewhere else. Somewhere that looked like here but wasn't quite current. Are you saying I've been delivering to the wrong place? I'm saying you've been delivering to a version of our depot that no longer exists, or maybe never existed the way you remember. 17 successful deliveries, all signed off, all accepted. But those deliveries might have gone to, I don't know, a temporal echo of our facility, a location that mirrors ours, but exists slightly out of phase. I walked to where the loading dock should be, put my hand out, felt nothing, just air. But in my memory, I could see it clearly, the blue building, the dock, the forklift operator who always helped me unload. What was the operator's name? I asked. The guy who worked the forklift at Dock Bay 2. We don't have anyone at Bay 2. That dock has been closed for 3 years since the accident. What accident? Worker named Tom Reinhardt was killed when a pallet fell. We sealed that bay, haven't used it since. OSHA restrictions. I talked to Tom last month. He helped me unload. Joked about the weather, asked about my route. He was alive. Tom died in February 2020. If you talked to him last month, you talked to someone who's been dead for 3 years. I sat down in the corn. This was impossible, all of it. Let me check something, Dale said. I heard keyboard typing. Okay, looking at our delivery records, we have no record of your 17 deliveries. No invoices, no signatures, no logged transactions. According to our system, you've never delivered here. But I remember it. I remember every delivery. I believe you, but you delivered to somewhere else. Somewhere that looked like our depot but wasn't. A place that exists adjacent to us, slightly out of temporal sync. You found a thin spot, a location where 2 time periods overlap. You've been accessing our depot from the past, delivering to a version that no longer exists in current time. Then where did my cargo go? 17 loads gone, someone received them. They probably did receive them, just not us, not the current version of us. Maybe there's a parallel depot staffed by versions of us from a different timeline. Tom Reinhardt is alive there. The building is still blue there, and they're receiving your deliveries without knowing they're from a driver in a different time. I looked at my current load, 32 pallets, $173,000 worth of equipment. What do I do with this delivery? I don't know, we need it, but I can't receive it if we're in different spaces. You can't deliver to a location you can't access. I walked the cornfield perimeter for an hour, searching for any entrance, any threshold that would let me cross from the field into the depot. Nothing worked. The 2 locations occupied the same coordinates but remained separated. At noon, I gave up, called my dispatcher, explained the situation as rationally as I could. The delivery location exists, but I can't access it. We're spatially separated despite being at the same address. They didn't understand. Neither did the client. Neither did the insurance company. I was at the right address with the right cargo, but I couldn't complete the delivery. It was unprecedented. The company sent another driver. He arrived at 4782 Highway 30 3 hours later, called me immediately. I see the depot. Blue building, gravel lot, metal tractor out front. That's what I saw last month, but it doesn't exist anymore. I'm looking right at it. I'm pulling in now. He completed the delivery, texted me a photo of the signed receipt, Tom Reinhardt's signature, the man who'd been dead for 3 years. Did Tom seem okay? I asked when he called. Yeah, normal. Why? No reason. The other driver left. I remained in the cornfield trying to understand. I could call the depot, could communicate with Dale Hendricks, but I couldn't physically access it. The space between us was unbridgeable. Unless... I walked to the exact center of the cornfield. The point where the GPS insisted the depot should be, stood perfectly still. Closed my eyes, tried to feel the threshold, the seam between the two locations. There was something, a vibration maybe, or a temperature differential. The air felt thicker here, resistant. I pushed forward, not walking, just pushing, leaning into the resistance. The air pushed back. I leaned harder. Something gave. I stumbled forward, felt the world shift, opened my eyes. I was in the loading dock. Blue building, gravel parking lot, metal tractor sculpture. Tom Reinhardt was standing there, smiling. You made it, he said. Took you long enough. Most drivers figure it out by the 5th or 6th delivery. Figure what out? That you're delivering to the past. This depot exists in 2020. You exist in 2023. The cornfield is the buffer zone, the space between time periods. To make the delivery, you have to push through, cross from your time into ours. But I've done this 17 times. Why was today different? Because you're getting farther from us. Time is moving forward in your period, but we're stuck here. 2020, February, right before the accident that kills me. We're in a loop, living the same few weeks over and over. Every delivery you make is to the same moment in our time. But you're getting older, movie. NG forward. Soon you'll be too far away. The buffer will be too thick to cross. Why are you stuck? I don't know, something about the accident. When I died, this location got locked in time. The depot, the staff, the inventory, we repeat February 2020 forever. Most people can't see us anymore. We've faded from current time. But drivers like you, who knew this place before the accident, can sometimes cross over, deliver to the ghost version of us. How do I get back? Same way you came, push through, but be warned, the more you cross, the harder it gets. Eventually, you might get stuck here, might join us in the loop. Several drivers have. They couldn't find the threshold again. Been here for years, experiencing the same weeks over and over with us. I looked around. The depot was real, solid, normal, but wrong. The calendar on the wall said February 17th, 2020, the same date as the accident. Is the accident today? I asked. Tom nodded. In about 3 hours, the pallet falls, I die. The depot gets locked in this loop. It's happened 64 times now. I've died 64 times, woken up the next morning, lived to this moment, died again. Every version of the day is slightly different, but the accident always happens. Can I prevent it? No one has yet. Drivers have tried, but the loop corrects. The accident finds a way to happen. It's a fixed point in time for this location. I could stay, could try to save him, but Dale's words echoed. Several drivers got stuck here. I walked to the center of the loading dock, felt for the threshold. The air resisted. I pushed harder. The world blurred, shifted. I was back in the cornfield. My truck was visible, parked on Highway 30. The modern highway, 2023. I climbed in, started the engine. In my mirror, I could see the cornfield, and for just a moment, overlapping with it, the blue depot, Tom Reinhardt waving goodbye. Then it was gone, just corn. I called Dale Hendricks. I made the delivery, sort of. I crossed into the old depot, the one from 2020. Then you found the threshold. Not many people can. The depot still exists, just locked in the past. We're here in the present, same location, unable to see each other. Tom says he's stuck in a loop, dying over and over. I know, we tried to help, tried to break the loop, but temporal locks are permanent. He's trapped there and we can't reach him. All we can do is occasionally receive deliveries from drivers who can cross over. It keeps the ghost depot stocked, keeps Tom and the others from realizing they're completely isolated. There are others stuck there. 4 drivers, they crossed over and couldn't come back. They're in the loop now, experiencing February 2020 forever. Don't go back, don't try to save Tom, you'll just join them. I drove away from 4782 Highway 30. Haven't been back, haven't delivered there again. But sometimes, late at night, I get calls from Tom Reinhardt. He tells me about the accident, describes dying, asks if I can help. I tell him I can't, tell him I'm sorry, tell him to accept the loop. He hangs up. The call log shows the date, February 17th, 2020. 3 years ago, forever ago, still happening right now in the space where that depot used to be. The delivery to nowhere continues. Drivers who can find the threshold still cross over, still stock the ghost depot, still talk to people who died years ago but don't know they're dead. The cornfield grows over it all, hides the threshold, separates past from present. But the blue building is still there, if you know how to push through. If you can stand the resistance. If you don't mind the risk of never coming back. The depot at 4782 Highway 30 exists, just not in the present. And Tom Reinhardt is still there, waiting for deliveries, dying and waking and dying again. Forever trapped in February 2020. Unless someone can break the loop. But no one has figured out how. And every attempt just adds another person to the ghost depot. Another driver stuck in eternal February. Another voice calling from the past, asking for help that never comes. The delivery address is correct. The location is real. You just have to know which year you're delivering to. Story 8, the convoy that followed itself. I'm the 19th truck in a convoy that only has 18 drivers. May 11th, 2023, 7 p.m. We formed a convoy in Cheyenne, Wyoming, 18 long-haul truckers heading east on I-80 through Nebraska. Safety in numbers, fuel efficiency from drafting company during lonely night drives. I was in position 7, middle of the pack, behind Reggie in his red Freightliner and ahead of Kayla in her white Volvo. At mile marker 312, I noticed truck number 19. It appeared in my mirror, joining the convoy from nowhere. Same spacing, same speed, running L. Lights on, a black Peterbilt, no visible company logos. I assumed it was a latecomer catching up. Except when I radioed back, "Hey, welcome to the party, black Peterbilt. What's your handle?" No response. I tried again. Truck 19, Black Pete, you copy? Kayla responded instead. Who are you talking to? I'm truck 18. There's nobody behind me. I checked my mirror. The black Peterbilt was there, clear as day. Running lights, exhaust smoke, maintaining perfect spacing. Kayla, you don't see a black Peterbilt behind you. Negative, empty highway, you seeing things. I'm looking right at it. Reggie cut in. Count off. Everyone call out their position. Let's make sure we're all accounted for. We counted 1 through 18. Everyone present. 18 trucks, 18 drivers. But in my mirror, there were 19. Seriously, I said, there's a 19th truck, Black Pete, no markings. It's maintaining convoy speed and spacing perfectly. Position 7, Reggie said. You're probably seeing reflections. Headlights from oncoming traffic bouncing weird. Happens on night drives. But there was no oncoming traffic. I-80 was empty except for our convoy. And the black Peterbilt wasn't a reflection. It was solid, detailed, real. At mile marker 347, the 19th truck overtook me. It moved into the passing lane, accelerated smoothly, and pulled ahead. As it passed, I looked directly at it. The cab was dark, no driver visible. The windows were too tinted or the interior too dark to see anything. The truck settled into position 6, between Reggie and me. Reggie, I called. You see a black Pete in front of you now. Negative, you're right behind me. I can see your lights. But there's a truck between us. Position 6 now. Position 7, you're position 6. I'm position 5. Kayla is 4. We're all exactly where we should be. I counted the trucks ahead of me. 5 trucks including Reggie. That made me number 6. But there were 6 trucks ahead of me, not 5. The Black Pete was number 6. I was number 7. The numbers didn't add up. The convoy had 18 trucks and 19 positions. At mile marker 403, the Black Pete passed another truck, moving into position 3. I watched it happen clearly. It overtook the truck ahead, settled into the new slot. But when I radioed, "Did anyone see that Black Peterbilt pass you?" No one had. Everyone claimed to be in their original positions. I took a photo, sent it to the convoy group chat. The image showed 19 trucks stretching into the distance. Clear count. Responses flooded in. "I only see 18 trucks in your photo. Where's the 19th? You might need to pull over, get some rest." I looked at the photo again, counted carefully, 19 trucks. I could see each one distinctly. But everyone else counted 18. "Pull up next to it," Kayla suggested. "Get a closer look. If it's real, you'll see details. If it's some weird illusion, it'll break up when you get close." I accelerated, drew alongside the Black Pete. It was real, solid. I could see the rivets on the door, the wear on the tires, the chrome exhaust stacks. But the cab was dark, no driver, no movement inside. The truck matched my speed exactly. When I accelerated, it accelerated. When I slowed, it slowed, maintaining perfect parallel position. "There's no driver," I reported. "The cab is empty." "That's impossible," Reggie said. "Trucks don't drive themselves." "This one is, and it's been following the convoy perfectly for 90 miles. Maintaining exact spacing, matching speed changes, taking the same curves. Either it's autonomous or..." "Or what?" I didn't want to say it, didn't want to sound crazy, but the word hung there anyway, ghost. At mile marker 471, the convoy pulled into a truck stop for fuel and food. We parked in a row, all 18 trucks in adjacent spots. I counted the parked vehicles. 19. The Black Pete had parked at the end of the row. I walked toward it. The other drivers followed, curious despite their skepticism. "I don't see a 19th truck," Reggie said. "I see 18 hours." "It's right there," I pointed. "End of the row." "That's just empty parking space." I walked to the Black Pete, touched it. The metal was cold, real, solid. I tried the door, locked, looked through the window. The interior was wrong. Decades old, vintage dashboard, manual controls, decorations from the 70s or 80s. This was an old truck in modern condition. "You're touching empty air," Kayla said. She was standing next to me, looking at the same space. "There's nothing there." I pulled out my phone, took a photo of the truck with my hand touching the door. In the photo, my hand was touching nothing, just air. The Black Pete wasn't in the image. But I could see it, feel it, it was there. "Some of you see it, some don't," Reggie realized. "You see 19 trucks, we S. E18, same location, different perception." "Why me?" I asked. "Maybe you're sensitive to something, or maybe we're blind to it. Either way, you're perceiving a truck we can't see. A ghost truck running in our convoy, invisible to most drivers." We went inside the truck stop, ordered coffee, discussed the phenomenon. Theories ranged from hallucination to dimensional overlap to literal haunting. "This happened before," an older driver at the counter said. He'd been listening. "Years ago, convoys on I-80 would report extra trucks, ghost trucks joining the formation. They'd match speed, maintain spacing, then disappear. DOT investigated but found nothing. Truckers called them phantom drafters. Said they were spirits of dead drivers still running their routes." "That's folklore," Reggie protested. "Maybe, but folklore comes from somewhere. And if your friend can see the 19th truck, maybe the folklore is true." We left the truck stop at 11 p.m. The convoy reformed. I counted the trucks. 19. The Black Pete was in position 12 now, middle of the pack. At mile marker 614, we passed an accident site. Old accident, memorial cross on the roadside, flowers weathered by months of exposure. The plaque read, "In memory of Thomas Wade, killed in collision. June 3, 1987. The Black Pete's brake lights flashed. It slowed, pulled onto the shoulder, stopped at the memorial. "The 19th truck just pulled over," I radioed. "We didn't see anyone pull over," Kayla responded. I slowed, watching in my mirror. The Black Pete sat on the shoulder, running lights on. Then it pulled back onto the highway, rejoined the convoy. But now it was closer. Position 9, right behind me. "Check the date on that memorial," Reggie said. 1987, that's 36 years ago. If the ghost truck stopped there, maybe it's connected. Maybe Thomas Wade is the phantom drafter. Trucks don't have ghosts. Drivers do. And if a driver died in their truck, maybe their spirit stays with the vehicle, keeps driving, keeps running the same routes. Thomas Wade might have been mid-convoy when he died. Now he's permanently part of every convoy on this stretch of I-80. At mile marker 743, the Black Pete accelerated. It moved up through the convoy, passing truck after truck until it reached position 1, lead position. "It's in front now," I reported, "leading the convoy." No one else saw it. They all claimed position 1 was still the original lead truck. But in my view, the Black Pete was first, setting the pace. And the pace was increasing. 70 miles per hour, 75, 80, 85. "Slow down," Reggie called to the lead driver. "You're going too fast." "I'm at 70, the lead driver responded. "Cruise control locked." But we were all accelerating. The entire convoy pulled along by the Black Pete's momentum, 88 miles per hour, 90, 93. "Something's pulling us," Kayla said, panic in her voice. "My truck is accelerating on its own." The phantom drafter was controlling the convoy, pulling us faster, pushing us beyond safe speeds. Our trucks responded to it, followed it, even though most drivers couldn't see it. "Brake formation," Reggie shouted. "Everyone scatter, get away from the convoy." I tried to brake. The pedal felt soft, unresponsive. The truck kept accelerating, 96, 98. The Black Pete ahead was glowing now. Not headlights, the entire truck was luminous, phosphorescent. And I could see inside the cab finally. A driver, skeletal hands on the wheel, skull grinning in the eerie light. Thomas Wade, driving his truck 36 years after death. And he wasn't alone. The trailer behind him was full. I could see through the walls, dozens of figures, translucent and shadowy, all sitting in rows, other dead truckers, passengers on the ghost truck. "He's collecting us," I realized. The phantom drafter doesn't just join convoys, it absorbs them, takes the drivers, adds them to the collection. We're being hunted. The convoy was at 104 miles per hour now, way beyond safe. One mistake, one blown tire, and 18 trucks would crash, burning, killing everyone. "I can see him now," Kayla said quietly. "The 19th truck, it's glowing, and there are people inside, dead people." Others chimed in, "I see it too. Jesus, what is that? How do we stop it?" "We can't outrun it," I said. "But maybe we can disperse. Break formation completely, go different directions, force it to choose one target instead of taking the whole convoy." "On my mark," Reggie ordered. "Everyone pick an exit, any exit, break convoy and scatter. 3, 2, 1 now." 18 trucks broke formation simultaneously. Some took exits. Some pulled off-road. Some accelerated past the Black Pete, trying to outpace it. I took exit 794 at 107 miles per hour. Barely made the turn. My tires scream. The trailer fishtailed. I fought for control, managed to straighten out. In my mirror, the Black Pete followed. It took the same exit, maintaining impossible speed, following me specifically. I drove into the darkness of rural Nebraska backroads. No lights, no traffic, just empty highway and cornfields. The Black Pete stayed behind me, glowing, relentless. My CB crackled. "You can't escape." The voice was dry, hollow, Thomas Wade. "I've been running this route for 36 years. I know every mile, every turn, every dead end. You're already part of my convoy. You have been since mile marker 312. I claimed you the moment I appeared in your mirror." "What do you want?" "Company eternity is lonely. I died alone in a crash, burning in my cab, screaming for help that never came. Now I collect others, build my own convoy, we drive forever together. You'll join us, tonight. When your truck runs out of fuel and you're stranded on this empty road, I'll stop. I'll open my trailer, and you'll see them all. 63 drivers I've collected over 36 years. You'll be 64. I have a half tank of fuel. I can make it to... Check again. I looked at the fuel gauge. Empty. The needle had dropped from half full to empty in seconds. Impossible. The engine coughed, sputtered, died. My truck coasted to a stop in the middle of nowhere, darkness in every direction. The black Pete pulled up alongside me, stopped. The trailer doors opened. Inside were the 63 drivers, all translucent, all watching me. Some had been dead for decades. Some still wore clothes from the 50s, 60s, 70s. They didn't speak, just stared with hollow eyes. Thomas Wade's skeleton climbed down from the cab. Join us. I ran, into the cornfield, into darkness. Behind me, the phantom drafter's horn blared, a long, mournful sound that echoed across the empty plains. I ran for hours or minutes. Time was uncertain. Eventually, I found a farmhouse, pounded on the door. An old woman answered. Please help, there's a ghost truck, it's hunting me. She looked past me into the darkness. I see it, out on the road, black truck glowing, it's been there before, comes every few years, takes someone, you're this year's target. How do I stop it? You don't, it's persistent, once claimed, always claimed. You'll see it in every convoy, every mirror. Every lonely stretch of highway, Thomas Wade will follow you until he takes you. Then I'll stop driving, I'll quit trucking. Won't matter, he doesn't need you in a truck, just needs you on the road. Walking, driving a car, riding a bus, doesn't matter. The road is his territory, once claimed, you're his eventually. I called the other convoy members, most had escaped. 3 hadn't answered their phones, 3 drivers unaccounted for. The news reported it 2 days later, 3 truckers missing on I-80. Their trucks found abandoned at various locations across Nebraska. No signs of struggle, no evidence of where they went, just empty trucks with their engines still running. I know where they went. They're in Thomas Wade's trailer, drivers 64, 65, and 66. I still see the black Pete. Every convoy I join, it appears. Position 19, following, waiting. Sometimes I see the drivers inside, 66 faces staring out, waiting for me to join them. Thomas Wade waves occasionally, patient, eternal. I'm still running, still driving, still trying to avoid the phantom drafter. But I know how it ends. Eventually, my fuel will run empty on a lonely road. Thomas Wade will stop alongside me. The trailer doors will open. And I'll become driver 67. The convoy that follows itself grows larger every year. More trucks, more ghosts, more drivers claimed by the road. If you're in a convoy and you count 1 extra truck, if you see a vehicle no one else perceives, don't investigate. Don't acknowledge it, don't radio about it, don't look in your mirrors. Because once you see the phantom drafter, you're claimed. And Thomas Wade collects what's his. Eventually, inevitably, on a dark road with empty fuel and nowhere to run. The 19th truck is always there, even in 18-truck convoys. Waiting, following, claiming. Position 19, forever. Story 9, the rest stop loop. I've stopped at the Route 76 rest area 14 times in the last hour, and I haven't moved. July 18th, 2023, 3:47 p.m. I pulled into the rest area outside Wheeling, West Virginia. Standard stop, bathroom, vending machine coffee, check my load. Quick 10-minute break before pushing on to Pittsburgh. I parked, used the bathroom, bought coffee, returned to my truck. Checked the clock, 3:57 p.m., 10 minutes. Good. I started the engine, pulled out of the rest area, merged back onto Route 76 eastbound. Drove for what felt like 15 minutes. Checked the clock again, 4:02 p.m., only 5 minutes. Tess had passed. That didn't feel right, but highway time is weird. Sometimes it goes fast, sometimes slow. At mile marker 247, I saw a familiar building ahead. The rest area, the same rest area I just left. That was impossible. The rest area was at mile marker 213. I'd driven past it, should be at least 20 miles beyond it by now. But there it was, approaching on the right. Same building, same sign, same parking lot configuration. I drove past it, kept going. Checked the mile markers, 248, 249, 250, normal progression. 15 minutes later, clock showed 4:17 p.m. I saw the rest area again. Same building, mile marker 213, just like before. I pulled over, checked my GPS. It showed me at mile marker 256, but the physical mile marker sign next to my truck read 213. GPS coordinates, 40, 0719 degrees N, 80, 6,277 degrees W. That's the Route 76 rest area location. I hadn't moved. I was back at the starting point. But I'd driven, I'd traveled miles, I'd passed dozens of mile markers. I pulled into the rest area again, parked in the same spot as before. My coffee cup was there, on the picnic table where I'd left it an hour ago, still warm. This was the same stop, same moment. I'd somehow looped back. I checked the timestamp on my GPS. 3:57 p.m., the exact time I'd left the first time. Every time I drove away, I ended up back here. Same rest area, same moment, looping. I tried driving west instead of east, away from Pittsburgh back toward Wheeling, drove for 20 minutes. Clock showed 4:17 p.m. again. The rest area appeared ahead, same building, mile marker 213. No matter which direction I drove, I ended up back at the rest area at 4:17 p.m. The loop was 20 minutes long, 3:57 to 4:17, over and over. I parked and got out, walked the perimeter. The rest area was normal, vending machines, bathrooms, picnic tables, information kiosk. 3 other trucks were parked. I approached the nearest one. The driver was sitting in his cab, staring straight ahead. I knocked on the window. He didn't respond, didn't move, just stared. I opened his door. "Hey, you okay?" He turned slowly, like moving through water. His eyes were empty, unfocused. "What's the time?" 4:09 p.m. "It's always 4:09 p.m. His voice was flat, mechanical. "Or 4:13 or 4:17, 20 minutes, over and over. I've been here for 6 days, I think. Hard to keep track. The loop resets before I can mark anything." "You're trapped too." "We all are. 7 trucks. 7 drivers, trapped in 20 minutes. We arrive at 3:57, we leave, we drive, we arrive back at 4:17. Loop resets. We're at 3:57 again, infinite loop, can't escape." I walked to the other trucks. Same thing, drivers in catatonic states, barely aware. They'd been looping so long they'd lost coherence, forgotten who they were, forgotten everything except the 20 minutes. "How long have you really been here?" I asked the first driver. "Don't know, could be days, could be years. The loop is always 20 minutes, but we experience it thousands of times. Millions maybe, time stops meaning anything." I checked my phone, dozens of missed calls, texts from my wife. "Where are you? You were supposed to be home yesterday. It's been 3 days." 3 days, but for me it had been an hour. 14 loops, 14 iterations of 20 minutes. Except the loops were compressing my perception of time. What felt like 20 minutes might be longer, might be hours, days. If I stayed here long enough, decades could pass outside while I experienced only minutes internally. The rest area was a time trap, a location where minutes looped infinitely while the outside world moved forward normally. I tried calling my wife. The call connected, but her voice was distorted, accelerated. She was speaking at normal speed in her time frame, but I was in slowed time. Her words were incomprehensible, too fast to parse. I hung up, tried to think. 7 trucks, 7 drivers, all trapped, all looping. There had to be a way out, a break in the pattern, something that disrupted the loop. "Have you tried not stopping?" I asked the other driver. "Driving straight through without returning to the rest area?" "Can't, the loop always brings us back. We drive for 20 minutes, then we're here again. Instant transition. No gradual return. Just driving, then suddenly parked at the rest area at 4:17 p.m. "What if you stop partway? Pull over before the 20 minutes end. Tried it, loop still resets. Doesn't matter where we are when the 20 minutes end. We returned to the rest area at 3:57. I got back in my truck, drove out of the rest area. This time I paid close attention to the environment, every detail. Mile marker 214, 215, 216, the R. Ode looked normal. Other traffic passed, cars, trucks, normal vehicles. They didn't seem trapped. Only the 7 trucks from the rest area were looping. At mile marker 232, 15 minutes into the loop, I noticed something. The other traffic was repeating. Same cars in the same positions, same license plates, same drivers. They were part of the loop too, background elements replaying the same 20 minutes. Only the 7 of us were aware. Everyone else was just automatons following scripted patterns. At 19 minutes, I braced for the reset. Felt it coming. A pressure in my skull, a sense of inevitability. The world folded. I was parked at the rest area. Clock showed 3:57 p.m. Loop restarted. But this time I noticed something different. There were 8 trucks now, not 7. An 8th had appeared, a blue Volvo that hadn't been there before. The driver climbed out, looked around, confused. Where am I? I was just on Route 76 and then... You're in the loop, I told him. The rest area trap. You're the 8th person caught. Welcome to eternal recurrence. That's impossible. I just stopped for 5 minutes. I need to get to Pittsburgh. We all needed to get somewhere. Now we're here. Forever, or until someone figures out how to break the loop. He panicked, tried to drive away. I watched him leave, knowing he'd be back in 20 minutes. Knowing he'd experienced the same confusion, the same denial, the same despair I'd felt. The loops continued. I lost count. Could have been 20, could have been 200. Time was meaningless. Only the 20-minute cycle existed. Some loops I tried different things, drove different directions, stopped at different times, called different numbers. Nothing broke the pattern, always back to 3:57 p.m., always the rest area. Other drivers deteriorated. The one who'd been here longest stopped speaking, stopped moving, just sat in his truck, eyes open, barely breathing. He'd experienced so many loops his mind had shut down. Self-defense against infinite repetition. I found notes scratched into the bathroom stalls. Day 47, still trapped. Day 118, forgot my name. Day 203, is anyone real? The dates were impossible. How could someone survive 203 days in 20-minute loops? Unless they'd been here for months or years in outside time, experiencing thousands of loops, slowly being eroded by repetition. I scratched my own note. Day 1, Michael Torres, wife's name is Alina, daughter is Sophia, home is Cleveland, I will not forget. Next loop, I checked the bathroom. My note was there, but it said day 57. I hadn't written that, or I had and I'd forgotten. 57 loops since my first note. That was 19 hours, or 57 days if each loop was slower than perceived. I couldn't tell anymore. The 8th driver had stopped trying to escape. He sat at a picnic table staring at nothing. I sat next to him. How long have I been here? I asked. You arrived yesterday, or a year ago, depends how you measure. How long have you been here? Forever, I think. I don't remember arriving, don't remember what I was doing before. The loop is all I know. We sat in silence. The 20 minutes expired, loop reset. 3:57 p.m., we were back in our trucks. I tried smashing my truck's clock. If I couldn't see the time, maybe the loop would lose its anchor. The clock shattered, but I could still feel the time, feel the loop approaching its end. The reset came regardless. Next loop, the clock was intact again, reset to 3:57 p.m. The rest area was resetting too. Any damage I caused was undone. Any changes I made were reverted. The loop maintained perfect consistency. I lay in my truck's sleeper cab, closed my eyes, tried to sleep through the reset. Felt it happen, the fold in reality, the snap back to 3:57. Opened my eyes. Clock showed 3:57 p.m. Slept through another loop. Same result, same reset. Sleep didn't prevent it, nothing prevented it. I walked to the highway, stood on the shoulder. Maybe if I was outside my truck when the reset happened, I'd break the pattern. be left behind when the loop restarted. 20 minutes passed. I felt the fold, the world blurred. I was standing in the rest area parking lot. Clock showed 3:57 p.m. I'd been transported back, regardless of location. The loop was absolute, inescapable. I don't know how many loops it's been now, 50, 500. The other drivers are mostly catatonic. I'm starting to forget things. My wife's face is blurry in my memory. My daughter's name is Sophia, Sarah, something with S. My name is Michael Torres. I think that's what my license says. But I'm not sure I remember being Michael Torres. I only remember being a person in a loop, a consciousness experiencing 20 minutes forever. I tried to kill myself, drove my truck off the road at high speed. Crash. D into the trees, felt the impact, felt my body break. Then the reset. 3:57 p.m., uninjured, alive, the loop won't let me die. I'm trapped in 20 minutes forever. The rest area is my universe. 3:57 to 4:17 is my entire existence. Everything outside that window is inaccessible, unreal. I scratch notes in the bathroom stalls. Day 203, day 418, day 1096. 3 years of loops. Is that possible? Am I reading someone else's notes, or my own from futures I don't remember? The other drivers are gone now, not dead, just erased. The loop stopped including them, edited them out. Now it's just me, alone in 20 minutes, forever. I'm writing this on a bathroom stall. Maybe someone will find it. Maybe the next truck that gets trapped will read it. Maybe they'll succeed where I failed. Maybe they'll escape. Maybe they'll tell someone that Michael Torres was here, that I existed, that I'm still here in the loop, experiencing 3:57 to 4:17 p.m., July 18th, 2023, for eternity. Or maybe they'll just add their own note, join me in the trap, become another consciousness eroded by infinite repetition. It's 4:16 p.m., 1 minute until reset. I've written this note dozens of times, hundreds maybe. I'll write it again next loop. And the loop after that, and the loop after that. Forever. The Route 76 rest area at mile marker 213, 3:57 p.m. If you stop here, you might never leave. And if you do stop, you'll find my notes, thousands of them, all saying the same thing. I'm trapped in 20 minutes. Help. But you can't help because you're trapped too now. Welcome to the loop. 3:57 p.m. Again. Always. Forever. Story 10, The Road That Ate Distance. I've driven 800 miles in the last 10 minutes, but I'm still in Pennsylvania. August 23, 2023, 11:14 p.m. I entered I-76 eastbound at the Ohio border, headed for Philadelphia. Distance, 357 miles, standard route. I've driven it dozens of times. At mile marker 12, 11:24 p.m., I checked my odometer. It had rolled over 817 miles since I entered the interstate. 817 miles in 10 minutes. That's impossible. That's faster than sound. My truck can't do that. But the odometer insisted, and when I looked at the fuel gauge, it reflected the distance. I'd burned through a quarter tank, consistent with 800 miles of driving, not 10 minutes. The mile markers told a different story. I was only at mile marker 12. I'd traveled 12 miles from the border. But my truck insisted I'd traveled 800. I checked my GPS. It showed me at mile marker 12, 345 miles remaining to Philadelphia. I kept driving, watched the odometer tick higher. The miles accumulated at impossible speed. 23 miles per minute, 30, 40. The number spun faster than I could read. But the mile markers incremented normally. 13, 14, 15, 1 mile every minute or two. My truck was eating distance, traveling through space at impossible rates while remaining in the same location. At mile marker 27, 11:39 p.m., my odometer showed 2,412 miles. I'd burned 3/4 of a tank. At this rate, I'd run out of fuel long before reaching Philadelphia, despite only traveling 60 miles. I pulled over, called my dispatcher. Something's wrong with my odometer. It's going crazy, showing thousands of miles when I've only gone 27. Have you hit anything? Sensor malfunction. No impact. Everything else is normal, just the odometer. And fuel consumption. Matches the odometer. I've burned through 3/4 of a tank in 25 minutes. Silence, then. That's impossible. You're burning fuel without traveling distance. That violates. I don't know physics. I know, but it's happening. Get it checked at the next service area. Can't have you running out of fuel in the middle of Pennsylvania. I merged back onto I-76. The odometer continued accelerating. 5,000 miles, 8,000, 12,000. The fuel gauge hit empty at mile marker 34. The engine sputtered, died. I coasted onto the shoulder, stranded at mile marker 34 with an odometer reading of 15,892 miles. I'd entered I-76 37 minutes ago, traveled 34 physical miles, but my truck insisted it had traveled nearly 16,000. I called for roadside assistance. I'm out of fuel, mile marker 34 eastbound I-76. You just filled up in Ohio. Your fuel card shows a full tank purchase 40 minutes ago. I know, but I'm empty now. That's impossible. At 60 miles per gallon, you should have enough fuel for over 500 miles. You've only gone 34. My odometer shows 15,000 miles. Something's wrong with the truck. It's consuming fuel based on the odometer, not actual distance traveled. The dispatcher didn't believe me, but they sent a fuel truck anyway. 2 hours later, the technician arrived, refueled my truck, checked the systems. Odometer's broken, he concluded. Reads 15,912 miles, but your GPS and engine computer say you've only gone 34 miles since entering I-76. Sensor failure. I'll document it. You can get it fixed in Philadelphia. I started the engine, pulled back onto I-76. The odometer immediately started spinning again, faster than before, miles accumulating at hundreds per minute. 16,000 miles, 18,000, 20,000. The fuel gauge dropped rapidly, quarter tank gone in 5 minutes. At mile marker 41, the fuel gauge hit empty again. I'd traveled 7 miles, burned a quarter tank. The odometer showed 26,403 miles. The road was eating distance. My truck was traveling farther than physically possible, consuming fuel for miles that didn't exist, trapped in Pennsylvania while crossing the entire continent repeatedly. I called my wife. Honey, I'm stuck. Something's wrong with the truck. I can't reach Philadelphia. I keep running out of fuel. Where are you? Mile marker 41, but my truck thinks I've driven 26,000 miles. That's around the world. You left Ohio an hour ago. I know, but the odometer. My phone cut out. No signal. Or maybe I'd traveled too far. 26,000 miles puts me somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Ocean if I'd actually traveled that distance. But I was still in Pennsylvania, still on I-76, still at mile marker 41. A police car pulled up. Officer approached. You broke down again? We got a call about a truck running out of fuel twice in one night. My odometer's malfunctioning. It's showing impossible mileage. He looked at the display, whistled. 26,000 miles, that's a hell of a sensor error. You've been driving around the world in secret. It's not funny. I can't reach Philadelphia. I keep running out of fuel before I travel 100 miles. Get the truck towed, fixed. This is dangerous. You can't keep stopping on the interstate. But tow trucks couldn't come. Every time one approached, my odometer would spin higher, and they'd report they couldn't find me. My location was stable, mile marker 41, but somehow my truck existed in a different space. A space where distances were wrong. I started walking, left the truck, walked east on the shoulder. Maybe on foot I could reach Philadelphia. It was 323 miles away. Long walk, but possible. After 10 minutes, I checked my phone's GPS. I'd walked backward. I was now at mile marker 39. I'd walked east, but moved west. Distance was inverted. I turned around, walked west. After 10 minutes, GPS showed mile marker 37, still moving west even though I'd reversed direction. The road was consuming direction, eating orientation, making progress impossible. I returned to my truck, climbed inside, sat in the driver's seat. The odometer read 31,218 miles. It had gained 5,000 miles while I was walking. The truck was traveling without me, consuming distance autonomously. "The road is alive," I said aloud, hearing it made it real. I-76 is eating distance, consuming space. I'm feeding it by trying to travel. The more I move, the more it consumes. I sat perfectly still. Didn't drive, didn't walk, didn't move at all, watched the odometer. It continued spinning. 32,000, 35,000, 40,000. The truck was traveling without moving, covering miles without displacement. The road was pulling distance from somewhere and feeding it to my odometer. Or creating distance, generating miles from nothing, trapping me in infinite consumption. I opened the door, stepped out, looked at the highway. It looked normal. Asphalt, lane markings, mile marker 41. But when I really looked, really focused, I saw something else. The road's surface was moving, not traffic. The asphalt itself, flowing, undulating, like it was breathing. The road was eating, consuming the distance between points, creating internal space. Miles that existed inside the highway compressed into the asphalt, accessible to vehicles but not visible from outside. I was on a road that contained more space than it occupied, a highway that was larger inside than outside, and my truck had fallen into that extra space, was traveling through hidden miles that didn't correspond to physical geography. I tried flagging down other vehicles, waved my arms. A car passed. The driver looked right through me. I was invisible, or I existed in the hidden space, the folded distance, and they existed in normal geography. I'm in the extra miles, I realized. The distance the road created. I'm not in Pennsylvania anymore. I'm inside the highway, in the space between mile markers. My phone rang. My wife. "Where are you? You haven't called in 6 hours." 6 hours? I left Ohio an hour ago. It's 5:30 a.m. You've been gone all night. I've been calling constantly. I checked my phone's clock. She was right. 5:34 a.m., August 24th. 7 hours had passed, but for me it had been 90 minutes. Time was different in the hidden miles. Slower or faster or nonlinear. "I can't get out," I told her. "I'm trapped inside the highway in extra space. I'm at mile marker 41, but I'm also nowhere. I've traveled 40,000 miles, but I'm still in Pennsylvania." She was crying. "Come home, please, just come home." "I'm trying." The phone died, battery drained, but I'd charged it fully before leaving. 7 hours of use, or 90 minutes, or however long I'd actually been here. I got back in my truck, started the engine. The odometer showed 53,698 miles. Fuel gauge was full. I hadn't refueled, but the gauge showed full. The truck was resetting itself, adapting to the hidden miles. I drove, the odometer spun faster. 60,000 miles, 80,000, 100,000. The mile markers incremented normally, 42, 43, 44. I was traveling at impossible speed through hidden space while barely moving through real space. The two geographies overlapped but didn't align. At mile marker 67, the odometer passed 200,000 miles. I'd theoretically traveled around the world 8 times, but I was only 67 miles from the Ohio border. The exit for Philadelphia appeared. Mile marker 362. I took it, merged onto local streets. The odometer slowed, stopped spinning, settled at 247,812 miles. I'd traveled 247,000 miles to go 357 miles. The truck won't start anymore. The odometer is too high. The engine thinks it's accumulated 250,000 miles of wear. It's seized up, died from old age in a single trip. I delivered my load, called a tow truck, got the truck hauled to a repair shop. The mechanic looked at the odometer, laughed. 250,000 miles? This truck was new last year. Odometer's totally fried. I'll replace the sensor. It's not the sensor, the road ate the distance, created extra miles, trapped me in hidden space. Sure, buddy, sure. He replaced the odometer, reset it to 0, but the engine is still worn. The truck has the damage of 247,000 miles. The metal is fatigued. The parts are aged. The road took its toll. I don't drive I-76 anymore. Won't risk it. Won't risk falling into the hidden miles again, traveling impossible distances, aging my truck and myself by hundreds of thousands of miles in a single trip. Other drivers have reported it. Trucks arriving with odometers showing impossible mileage. Fuel consumption that doesn't match distance traveled. Time discrepancies where hours pass in minutes or minutes stretch into hours. I-76 is eating distance, creating extra space, trapping vehicles in hidden miles that don't appear on maps. The road is larger inside than outside, and once you fall into the extra space, you're traveling through infinity, consuming distance that doesn't exist, aging faster than time allows, trapped between mile markers in the space that shouldn't be there. The road that ate distance is still eating, still creating hidden miles, still trapping drivers. And every trip on I-76 is now a gamble. Will you travel 300 miles or 300,000? Will you arrive in hours or days or never? The mile markers look normal, but between them is infinity, compressed, hidden, waiting to consume anyone who triggers the threshold. I traveled 247,812 miles. To go 357 miles. And I'm never driving I-76 again. Because the road is still hungry, still eating, still creating miles from nothing. And next time it might not let me leave at all.